goody, you know what time it is? It's time for the afternoon double story time. Karen and Chesley, I'm Chesley and Karen's the ones and me. Yes, Chesley, we're so glad to be here. I'm always glad to talk to the kids. Oh, Chesley, we're ready to tell this story. It's called Spies Be Careful. Spies Be Careful. You know, that sounds like a scary thing. It is a scary thing, Chesley. It's a brand new time for the children of Israel, and Moses has died. You know, now they don't have a leader. Oh, yes, they do have a leader. There was a man that God had been helping, and how he was training him, and how Moses was training him. Moses was training him too. He knew that he was the man that was going to succeed him. And his name was what? His name was Joshua. Oh, Joshua loved the Lord. You know, he had a sidekick named Caleb. Caleb? It wasn't Caleb, it was Caleb. Yes, Caleb was, you want to call him his sidekick. I mean, they were best friends. And then they talked to them, the Lord, and how he was going to give them victory. And there were so many people that were saying they couldn't go in and take the Canaan's land, go there, the land that the Lord had promised him. Well, when God promises it's going to happen. That's right, Jesse. And those that didn't believe, well, they didn't get to go. But Joshua and Caleb, now they were going to go. I mean, it's just about time, except they're in some trouble. Except they're in some trouble. But you know, Chesley, it looked like trouble. What is it? It is actually, they were just ready to go to victory. That's right, Chesley, victory. And it was because they had been faithful. All these other people weren't going to get to go in. The ones that had said, you know, they didn't believe God. And it's just two of them. No, it wasn't just the two of them, but all those people that said, no, they didn't, God couldn't do it, and all it was their children were going to be going in. You know, I tell you what, and now it's just how many is it going to be? Jesse, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. It's just bunches. Let's just say it's just bunches. But our scripture reading is from Joshua chapters 1 and 2. You know, I tell you what, I think Joshua was scared. Joshua, I'm sure he was, can we say that, well, he knew that the Lord had chosen him. And what did Moses, what did he think? Well, before Moses died, here's what he had died. Well, he had said, he had told him that God was with him. God gave him this, and God himself gave him the promise. He said, be strong and courageous, for you shall give this people possession of the land which I swore to their fathers to give them. Only be strong and very courageous. Be careful and do according to all the law which Moses my servant commanded you. Do not turn from it to the right or to the left, that you may have success wherever you go. Oh, that was God told him that. God spoke that to him. Oh, I mean, it gave him confidence and help. Now, Chesley, let's just kind of set the scene here. You know, back a long time ago, we won't go into all the whole story, but 12 spies went in to go ahead into Canaan. They were, oh, going to be a spy. That's kind of scary. It is scary to be a spy. You have to be very careful. But they wanted the people, they were afraid, and they said, well, let's just send these 12 spies, one from every tribe, and they'll come back and say, we can win the victory. Yes, because God was going to be with them. So they went over there, and so they come back to give their report. You know, I mean, it didn't wonder, yes, it had been amazing, the things they had seen. It was good things to eat. Good things to eat. It was just a prime land. This is a great place to go, and God is giving it to them, so they need to go on and get it. But Chesley, you know what, Nathan, they'd been to give the reports. Well, then Joshua and Caleb were so excited, you know, they knew that God was going to help them. They come think that you're trusting God. Those 10 said, oh, I know that it is wonderful, and there are many good things there, and it's a great land and all of that, and it's good fruit. I mean, it's just perfect. They said, oh, the people there are so tall. No, they're giants. That's what they said. They're giants. And they said, it's impossible. We can't do it. Chesley, they did not put their trust in God. They was looking at themselves, and they're not going to make it. Chesley, when you have fear in your heart and you don't trust God, you're in trouble. Chesley, that is not a winning combination. Joshua and Caleb kept trying to tell them, but God will help us. He is our helper, and we can win the victory. But Chesley, you know, they chose to be disobedient. The people said, well, we're not going to go. We're scared. But Joshua and Caleb were faithful. And so all these 40 long years, they wait till all those people died off. And now they're going to get to go. And now they're going to get to go. And how that Joshua now, the Lord himself has spoken to him. And I read what the Lord had spoken to him and told him. And he said, be strong and courageous, for you shall give this people possession of the land which I swore to their fathers to. Only be strong and courageous. And he said, be careful. And according to the law of Moses and all, he said, my servant, as he commanded you, do not turn, don't do your own thing. Yeah, don't do your guessing. Then just seek the Lord and do what he says. So Joshua the son of Nun, now they had come, Chesley, and here they were, and just to they had crossed over now the river, and here now they were in this city we know what this city was called, and this was this giant city here, and they were looking at it, and they thought, this is just impossible. Jericho, no, Jericho, Jericho. Well, Chesley, this was a huge wall city, and they thought this is impossible to get into. You know that God's got a plan. God had a plan, and He told him to choose some spies. So the Lord gave him a plan. He chose these spies. No, spies, be careful. Spies, be careful. You know why? Because what happened, they learned later from this woman, we're going to find out that the spies talked to, when they finally did get over there, they learned from this lady there that she told them, said, was they kind of scared? That they were scared. No, well, it was very dangerous for these spies, because the city was, they'd gotten word, they learned from this lady that word had come back for about all of the victory, and then down to crossing the Red Sea and all this, crossing all the things that they had done, how God had just ministered to them. They heard of all the miracles God had done, and it was a scary thing. And now I tell you what, those people were scared. But there was children of Israel. They were concerned because it was such a large city and had all the walls. They had a lot of protection. They had a lot of protection. But come to find out, they were shaking in their shoes because they heard about God. They heard how great God was in His miracles. Well, when they found out about that, they said, this is good news that they've heard all of this, how great God is. But these spies were going to have to, they had come in, and there were so many people that was watching, so they was in trouble. Yes, Chelsea goes, be on the lookout if you see any strangers. I tell you what, did they try to hide and look like the others? I don't know what they tried to do, Chesley, but I wonder if they had what we call like an accent. They didn't sound like all the people there, different parts of the country. They'd sound a little differently. And so somebody there did that. And Chesley, that's what somebody will say. Well, I think they're spies. I think they're spies. I think those people is scary. Yes, it was scary, Chesley, but they took the job. And there they were, and they went in and went to a place, went there. It was like a motel, and they went in. And somehow, this lady recognized, no, they're in trouble. But Chesley, no, she recognized that these are the men of God. And she thought, she was very concerned, so she was going to hide them. She was going to protect them. But word got out that they thought they were there. And somebody said, there's those strange guys. No, now they're in trouble, and she's going to give them away. No, Chesley, she didn't give them away. In fact, she had hidden those guys. Where did she hide them? Are they saved? Yes, they were saved. God had a plan. He had guided and directed, and they were at the right place at the right time. That's because they followed God. They followed God, and to think Joshua, their leader, he followed God. He sought the Lord. And Caleb, there was his man that was right beside of him. He was so faithful to him. But Chesley, the Lord is watching over it. And word has come how God has helped these people. And now if we can get these people, and what we can get those spies right there. Going to get those spies, and we're going to find out all the information. We're going to find out all their plans. But Chesley, they didn't. Well, finally said the word. They said, we'll go to her. She knows about this. But you know what? She had hidden those spies, and they was trying to get all the information, and she wouldn't tell them. I think she just told them just a crazy story. She told them a crazy story. She came up to them before they'd gone to sleep. She said, I want to tell you something. She said, I know that you're God's people. And she was scared, and she didn't want anything to happen to them. And she said, I know God's going to give you the victory, but don't forget me and my family. Don't forget us. So she had a plan. They had a plan for her. They told her she said, well, we've already heard of how the Red Sea dried up. We've heard about all the miracles, and we've heard how that God just, we're just shaking in our shoes. That's right. She said, we know we're next, even though our city, it seems like it's huge, but your God is great and mighty. And she said, please have mercy on us. And because she was being good to them, but they said, you cannot tell. You cannot tell on us. She said, I won't do it. I'll be honest, I promise. And she promised, and she kept her word. She said the people are so scared, it's like their hearts are about to melt. Ooh, they're shaking in their shoes. They were shaking in their shoes. But I tell you what, she said, what about me and my family? She said, when God gives you victory, and because she's been true and faithful, if she's true and faithful, they said, you know what? You will be saved. And so as she had she was letting them, and they were able to get away. Just a miracle how they were able to get away. And she let them down with a rope. And they said, and it was, you know, what color was it? It was a red rope, Chesley. It had to be that rope. They said, you know, I tell you what, when we come, before we come to take over this city, said, if you'll put us down with this same rope, red rope, it couldn't be a different one. Well, can you just get a pretty one and just get a different colored one and you know, just kind of shake it up? No, you don't want to kind of shake things up, you know. I was going to red and a green and a yellow. No, couldn't be red, green, and yellow, but it had to be that particular rope. And so Chesley, as they left that day, she let them down with that rope, and away they went. They hid, and she gave them the plan. She did. She gave them a getaway plan, and she said, this is what you do, because there was some fellas that said, you know, we know they're here somewhere, you know, and she just told them a big old story, and they believed it, and so those fellas now, as these spies, they headed out, and she said, you got to hide out in the hills. I'm running toward the hills, and I'm going to hide behind the rocks. And Chelsea, I tell you, I'd be hiding behind the biggest rock I could find. But, you know, I'd have found me a cave. Well, they might have found some caves. But the Lord protected them, because remember, that's what God had told Joshua, that he would be with them. I love it. He said, be strong and courageous, for you shall give this people possession of the land which I swore to their fathers to give them. Only be strong and courageous. Don't be a coward. That's what he's saying. Don't be a coward. Don't be a coward. Be careful to do according to all the law which Moses, my servant, commanded. Don't do your own thing, he was saying. You just follow what I say. And God gave them the victory, and they made it. They made it to safety, and they were able to get to Joshua. And Joshua was so thrilled when they related to him. Do you know what word is spread about God? Oh, let's just spread the word of that God, how great he is. That's what we need to do, spread the good word about God and how great he is. But you know, like we said, the spies need to be careful. We need to be careful that we are good examples. You think we're polite and courteous? Yes, that we're polite, we're courteous, and we tell the truth all the time, that we're honorable. Oh, Chesley, then those two men, they returned. They came down from the hill country, crossed over, and came to Joshua, the son of Nun. And he was waiting. He was waiting for the spies' report. He was waiting for that spies' report. And you know what? Joshua and Caleb, you know how they had always said the same thing, because they trusted God. These spies, I'm glad they were honorable spies. You know, I'm glad they wasn't fussing and quarreling, and they wasn't going to. I'm glad too, Chesley. They said the same thing. Surely the Lord has given all the land into our hands. And they said all the inhabitants of the land, they're just literally, their hearts are about to melt. I'm glad that, I know what I'm glad that they didn't fuss and fight. I'm glad they didn't fuss and fight. What if they had disagreed? You know, if they said it isn't true, we can't make it. What if one of them said we can, the other one said we can't? Chesley, they were in agreement, and it just gave, you know what it gave the people? It just helped the people to hear. You know, they sent 2 people. They didn't send 12. They sent 2. You didn't want to have anybody, not a whole lot of crowd, to know all about it, because they'd been making it and stuff and getting scared and telling stories and tales. They might have been telling stories and tales, and like it was, these fellas came back with a true report, and they said the same thing, and God bless it. And Chesley, before it was all said and done, sometime later after this, God gave the victory. He gave the victory. Spies, be careful. You know, Chesley, sometimes we can feel like we're like spies into a place if a lot of people don't believe about the Lord Jesus Christ. You have to be careful and be kind and polite. Always be kind and polite, and be that good example of a believer in the things we say and the things that we do. Spies, be careful, but God is with you. If you say and do what he says, he's going to help you. If you're going to acting crazy and doing disobedient, you can't count on it. That's right, Chesley. Just honor the Lord. He's always faithful. He is always faithful, and that's what he wants us to be, and he helps us to be. So, Chesley, right now, it's time for you to go to bed. Me go to bed? I just got up. Well, I know, but it's time for you to go to bed because your story is over. No, this gospel train is in the train. I didn't sing that. Okay. This gospel train is in the train. Checking the track. This gospel train is checking the train. Train to the glory land and get on board this gospel train. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Who can get on board the gospel train? All the folks that want to serve Jesus. And Chesley, what are we going to do? Where's this train going? Going to see Jesus. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Going to see Jesus. Yes, I am. Up in the glory land. All right, Chesley. And that concludes our story. Spies, be careful. And they were, and they spoke the truth, and God bless them. So we'll see you next Sunday afternoon, the Lord willing. And you be sweet, and behave yourself, and mind your manners, and do all the right things, say your prayers, and read God's Word, and you're just coming up with more and more things. You're stalling, Chesley. You know, you guessed it. Yes, I guessed it. It's bedtime now, so we'll see you next Sunday afternoon, the Lord willing. We love you. Always glad to have you. Goodbye.